the hardest working crew in sports card biz. Welcome back to the Fractional Report before opening bell, brought to you by Collectable. An awesome episode where there's some auctions that closed. Cage got himself a really cool card, and again, you're super contrarian in nature. The index is down across the board, but something that's super interesting that I found was that it was down less than other assets. I found that very interesting, other than gold. So we'll talk about all that, talk about the top gainers, top losers, so to speak, and then go from there.
Yeah, some comps, some overall market stuff, right? Yeah, I mean, and just so we don't leave anybody hanging, right? I bought a LeBron. It's Lucas, Tigers, and Brons, right? So I bought a LeBron, I mean, and let me give some credit where credit's due. Cardboard Chronicles, Josh. A big thank you to Josh. I messaged him today for a big thank you. We sometimes are tongue in cheek, and we sometimes we have our fun. They have their fun with us with the NFTs and all kinds of fun stuff, and we have our fun with the data that's out there. But if you check out the stories that Chris Hoge, and Cardboard Chronicles and those guys at the Card Ladder team put out. There's some really good information in there. Not just good charts, not just good data. It's these are guys who have years and years and years of knowledge and insight, and they think differently than I do a lot of the time. And they have a lot of information about the card values, the historical values, you name it. And one of the things that Josh posted a chart of this past week, and it's actionable here. Not exactly the same cards, but it's actionable because it was two players. Was talking about like the overall markets and how things were down, and that cards were down. And you gotta look at them the same, but that he thought that the solid assets that were rare, but still tradable, still liquid. There were a couple of them that he thought were hitting floors. The two that he pointed out specifically were low pop enough, and with enough sales transactions over the last 2 years, was the Kevin Durant Chrome White Refractor out of 99. His was the BGS 9.5. And the LeBron James Chrome Refractor BGS 10, which only has a pop of like 30-something, 31, 32. I forget exactly what it is. And he said that, if you looked at the chart, it looked like it might be, it had gone huge up. I mean, I think it was like a $200,000 or something crazy. Mm-hmm. When the Jordan rookie, which we'll talk about also, another card, was at 700, that was at 200. And a recent sale was at like 84. And the one prior was like 77.5, and then it was 84. So basically, if you look at the chart, it was one of these like climb to a high peak, drop, and recently looked like it was kind of like the consolidation phase, hitting a floor and then moving its way back up. So I bid on one because there was one in Ken Golden's auction last night, and I placed my bid literally when Josh put that story in a couple of days ago. And I was like, I'm not going to get this. Someone's going to beat me, And my bid was 56 plus buyer's premium and all the additional fun things that they like to throw on top of it: fees and transactions and handlings and insurance and the like. The invoice is an interesting thing to look at.
A little bit for a golden event at National, and another surcharge.
It's for an episode on a different day.
For Adelman. And
what's funny about it is that 56 plus buyer's premium, it never got touched. Like, no one came in over the top, which meant that, for all intents and purposes, that one sold at 67.2, which is a new low. And it basically puts that LeBron around where it was 2 years ago, maybe even less than it was 2 years ago. We're talking about 2020, before a lot of the crazy. I mean, obviously it was lower than that before in 2019. But
can we talk about something there, though?
Shoot, man,
I think what's cool about that purchase is it's a crossover of data and intuition, right?
Yep.
Not only is it that the chart shows that it's a buy, I think intuitively we feel like because of the year the Lakers had, LeBron's oversold. And also because of the current kind of grading climate, BGS 10s are no longer holding the premium that they rightfully should hold. Not because BGS or PSA or SGC subjectively are better grading companies, because of the population, because of the numbers behind it.
So yeah, I mean, there were PSA 10s that sold it, and they sold for a discount of it. They sold for 20% less or so than the BGS 10 sold for. But I think that you're right. Historically, that was a much bigger gap
Right.
And I think so that's part of it. But yeah, I mean, listen, we talk about LeBron, and there's a lot of LeBron items that have been beaten up, like really beaten up. He had a bad year. But the way I look at it, and you call me
He
contrarian,
had
and
a
I guess I
great
am,
year.
right? I mean,
He had a great year. He
he
was a scoring leader at
statistically
37.
almost. I mean, he wound up losing it at the end, but he had a great statistical year for himself, and there's a lot of things on the horizon for him, right? If the overall market is beat down and the blue chips like LeBron are beat down, I look for those blue chips that are beat down with this market for ancillary things, right? The team, yes, they didn't make the playoffs. And yes, if you look at Steph Curry's cards and Steph has a shot to win another championship and people are comparing him, you look at LeBron, short term, something will happen soon. They'll sign someone. There'll be some talk in the offseason about what they're going to do with their team and what's going to get some hype. But I didn't buy that card for short-term hype, right? I mean, you could see it turn right around quickly if there's some short-term hype. Maybe they sign Zach LaVine, who's a free agent. Maybe they move him in. And, now all of a sudden there's some hype around the team and they're redoing the team and they're rebuilding. But then you're going to have he's chasing Kareem to be the all-time points leader. Is he going to play with Bronny? What's he going to do? How much longer is he going to play? How far is he going to, set himself up in the record books? Is he going to make another run at a title somewhere? So there's a lot of things still there. It's one of those things we talked about being lucky that, you have these GOATs that are still doing it with Brady and LeBron, and who knows what happens after they stop. But a card like that, where there's not that many of them, and, he's cemented as a top 2 all-time, player, I feel all right putting my money in that, as it would be kind of like putting it in, Apple stock or Disney stock or a stock that has been beaten down with the market, a blue chip that when things turn around, it will turn around. So that's kind of my thought. And, people could use that. We're not telling this because people are like, what the hell? Why do we care what this guy bought? LeBron, Mahomes, Brady, there's a lot of those on Collectable and nicer than what I bought. You know what I mean? And you're talking about the exquisite one. Obviously, if I could afford the exquisite, I'd buy the exquisite now because I think that's been beat up pretty badly too. And there's one on Collectibles, so it's sort of like could you buy shares of it, right? Maybe buy shares of that, and then you watch that one. Go ahead. When you talk
about that little consolidation stage, and now kind of perking back up, I'm curious, the timing of the playoffs, right? Because you have first 2 rounds, there's still a little area for speculation. When you get this deep in the playoffs, you kind of see that there's levels to everything, right?
Oh yeah.
You come into a corporate environment, you're an analyst, you move up to associate, VP, you move all, but there's levels to stuff. And no matter how great Luka and Tatum are, I think we see that there's still another level to get to LeBron.
Oh yeah.
And when we're chasing these record sales, like we just saw kind of an eerie sale with the Luka National Treasure, 6,666.
666,000 for a BGS 95. Yeah.
You start realizing you're like, well, hold up. LeBron basically got to the finals at will for, a decade. Mm-hmm. And Luka's great and all, but the way it looks is he's not going to get past
your attention, ladies and
the Warriors. Same with Tatum.
Everybody, this poor guy, he's been working his butt off this week, selling V-Friends cards at VCon. He's doing the episode from the airport. This poor guy literally just landed, and he's like, Cage, I'm not going to go home for another 2 hours. And I said, let's just find a little spot, we'll get good service, and we'll bust it out now. We'll get this episode up, and people can have the actionable trading stuff. We just had Golden End last night, so this guy, he's a trooper. Let's give him some credit. Let's give him a pat on the back here. Did an episode in a hotel hallway. It's just crazy stuff. So
I feel pretty good. I'm just taking it one step at a time. Right now, be where your feet are, as Mr. Bennett on Virginia UVA says. Be where your feet are. So I'm present. So I'm going to go over some data. So Collectable top 3 gainers. So there's 73% gain on the Mickey Mantle MLB debut ticket stub from 1951.
Mm-hmm.
Luka White Sparkle, which we could talk about that. I hate that card. I think that was offloaded onto retail investors for $600,000. I don't think it's worth anywhere near what even the current buyout offer is right now. Not even to talk about the $600,000 IPO. We could talk about that. And then the Kobe Bryant game-worn French Blue Jordan 12 retro sneakers, which is basically the most volatile. It's up 1 week, down 1 week, up 1 week, down 1 week. And truthfully, it sort of feels like that could be manipulated by people who are holding that item. I don't know, but the Mantle ticket to me is the coolest for sure.
Why?
For sure. I don't know, man. I just think anything Mantle has such a endearing. You don't have to tell a long story.
All right, I'm with you, and I love it. So, how about this one? Do you remember a couple weeks back? We were lucky enough to tell people about the it was you were on it. You were like breaking news. Tell people about the Tiger Woods golf club that sold for millions of dollars, and then Collectable, because Collectable brings those assets that no one else has. Collectable had the Tiger Woods clubs, and we're like, okay, well, clearly that's going to follow suit, right? And that's one of those great things about Collectable, right? You know, you can't just go on eBay after an amazing Tiger Woods club sale and say, oh, well, I'm going to go find some Tiger Woods, match used clubs and go bid on them, because clearly there's a headline out there. So how about this? Were you aware? Now, obviously, it's not apples to apples, just like the clubs were not apples to apples. It's a little bit apples to orange. But you aware that an amazing piece, that Golden Auctions last night had a 1955 Sandy Koufax debut and World Series Championship season game-used Dodgers jersey. So it was a road jersey. It was Mears rated A9.5, real nice jersey. And it sold for over $1 million. I forget what it ended at. $1.2 million, $2 million. Yeah, I mean, it's sold.
Who is Sandy Koufax? Why do we talk about this?
I told you, left-handed god.
Okay, I know, and he doesn't pitch on Yom Kippur. Mazel tov, l'chaim.
So he is one of these guys that just as a pitcher had one of the most dominant runs for let's call it an 8-year span of any pitcher. So like almost an unhittable pitcher. Plus you had the Dodgers, you had the Brooklyn Dodgers,
better than
the LA
Kershaw.
Dodgers. Yes, better than Kershaw. Like Sandy Koufax would be insulted that you'd put him in the same category. Like, yes.
As Kershaw.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys forget Kershaw dominated.
And yeah, I mean, no one forgets that he dominated, right? So I mean, listen, man, we should have some stats pulled up at the ready, just because, Koufax is fun, right? So I'm trying to see, what it was, right? Also, when he came up, he was not so good. I remember reading about the Dodger dogs.
He hit
hot dogs, remember?
He had 2 home runs in his career. This guy's nobody.
Let's see. NL record, 4 no-hitters, including a perfect game. Twice struck out 18 batters in a game. In 1965, he struck out 382 batters, a major league record until Nolan Ryan broke it. In 1963, he won the MVP with a 25-5 record. In the World Series, he beat Whitey Ford twice in 5 days as the Dodgers swept the Yankees. I mean, he was pretty darn good for a stretch there. And what's amazing about it is I don't think he was great in the 50s. So that jersey, yes, it was his debut. It took him a while. I think he was okay. And then all of a sudden he was like in 1960, 61, all of a sudden he was like godlike. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty crazy what they say, right? So, let's get a story here. In 1961, during a bus ride to a spring training exhibition game, backup catcher Norm Sherry told him he should concentrate more on throwing the ball over the plate rather than breaking the sound barrier and be more varied and selective with his pitches. So I guess he was just trying to throw hard. They told him he could solve his control problem if you just try to throw the ball a little easier. Get it over the plate. You still got enough getty up on it, basically, to get the hitters out, right? From then on, he tried to throw strikes and make them hit the ball. The difference was control, not just controlling the ball, but controlling myself. So after the 6-year storm where he was a little wild, came the calm of success, throwing with an easier rhythm and relying more on a crackling curveball. They say, quote, it drops like a chair whose legs collapse out from underneath it, catcher Jack Roseborough said. So let's see. Over the next 5 seasons, you ready? He was 14-4 with 209 strikeouts by July 12th in 1962. Came down with circulatory problems. In 63, the first of his 3 pitching triple crowns. So 3 years in a row, triple crowns. Led the league in wins, ERA 1.88, and strikeouts 306. 2 more starts. I mean, just crazy numbers here over a short period of time.
From 2011, Kershaw to actually let's go 2010 to 2017, Kershaw's ERA was 2.91, 2.28, 2.53, 1.83, 1.77, 2.13, 1.69, 2.3.
Yep. So at
That's
64
Kershaw.
and 65 was that yeah, okay. But Koufax led the league in wins, ERA, and strikeouts for 3 straight seasons, including winning World Series in that. Right? 26-8 with a 2.04 ERA to win second Cy Young. First game of the World Series was the Yom Kippur, which obviously you know that one. And they had another great season, 27-9 with a 1.73 ERA after that. So 63, 64, 65. Why do I talk about this and his greatness? So yes, the 55 Sandy Koufax is a rookie debut jersey, sold for over $1 million. Did you know that Collectable has a Sandy Koufax 1964-65 game used jersey that is currently trading at $394,000? So it's, some could argue, a more important piece. Now, everybody loves rookies, but in 1955, I know they won the World Series. I know they did. Jackie Robinson on that team. Only time Jackie won the World Series. But Sandy Koufax was a rookie and kind of a scrub in 1955. In 64, 65, when this jersey that Collectable has on the platform was being used in a game, Koufax was right in the middle of his pitching triple crown, his 3 best years, where he led the leagues in strikeouts and ERA and wins. I mean, impressive piece. And why I bring it up is just like the Woods putter caused all of a sudden, you know, some reverberations on other items like that. This is not the same jersey. It's not a rookie jersey, but it's a jersey that was used in a really important time. You know, compare it to like in the Jackie Robinson bats that were sold. You know, some of them sold for $1 million too. Some of them sold for $500,000-$600,000. You know, it kind of like lifts it up. And you would think that after that one makes headlines as the, you know, leading bid getter in the golden auction, maybe it's on SportsCenter, maybe it's on ESPN, maybe it's on Twitter. People start looking. Hey, maybe I should. Well, you don't have to buy for $400,000. What is the share price on this? $9-10 a share. You can get in on the Koufax jersey before the opening bell. $9.25, and you can get in before the opening bell on Collectable's Fractional report. There you go. You got some early info right
Collectible
there.
shareholders rejected a $500,000 offer on the asset on August 30th, 2021.
And they were smart to do so, it would seem, right? And yet now, after a $500,000 buyout, it's down to $394. But I have a feeling after a 7-figure sale of one of his game used, you've now seen some price discovery. And maybe people realize that $500,000 might be light. Who knows? No one's going to
remember. Well, no one's going to remember Koufax. And he's basically Mikan.
I mean, people remember Mikan.
For now, until this...
Dude, no. So what's funny about it is
irrelevant. Cardboard irrelevant.
In a few decades, Kobe will be irrelevant too, and no one will remember him.
No way.
Why?
No way. Because he did stuff outside. No way.
I mean, you could always say over time, people will be forgotten. If you think it's that easy to forget Koufax and he's irrelevant, I'll tell you, Kobe Bryant,
not people with Provenance.
Same
Provenance, Mantle, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan.
What do you mean Provenance? What does that even mean? I mean, Koufax
they have impact inside and outside the sport.
What did Mantle do outside the sport?
Dated Marilyn Monroe. Next question.
No, that's Joe DiMaggio.
But that doesn't matter. We think that he dated Marilyn Monroe.
No, you do. You're the only person who confuses that. You're the only one.
Okay, fine. What about him jumping in the Hudson River to save all of his cards so that now we have 3 PSA 10s? Do you really think Koufax could swim?
I'm pretty sure he was a heck of a swimmer, yeah. Actually.
With his left hand. His right hand was completely useless.
Oh, man, you are an interesting duck. All right, so we'll move off of Sandy Koufax.
Talking about useless, the designer of White Sparkle cards, do you think Panini still
It definitely wasn't Carvin. It wasn't Carvin. Hey, let's talk about 2 cards right now, right?
Sure.
Cream of the crop kind of cards. Let's talk about the Michael Jordan PSA 10 rookie card. So current trading price on Collectable, $215,000, okay? It came down a little bit this week. There were 2 sales in the last 3 days. one on Golden and one on PWCC. The Golden one ended at $228,000, which is higher than the one on Collectable, and it's one of the lower sale prices that we've had. I predicted it would sell a little lower also. Wasn't the greatest copy. Whereas the one on PWCC was an eye appeal one, nice centering, and sold for $276,000. So you have two comps. The eye appeal a little higher. The one that's not so great also higher. The Jordan at $215,000. You guys know I own one. So obviously a little biased here, but we now have, an asset on Collectable that is trading below two recent comps. Just want to make sure we point that out.
My take on that card is such from a fractional standpoint. For a collector like you, that's like you've talked about an entry ticket to VCon.
Yeah,
tongue in cheek. It's like, hey, I made it as a collector. I've always wanted the 10. You have the 10. You're exclusive club. But from fractional, it's not the best bang for your buck, right? The people that hold that card, they're holding that for 20 years. They're not holding that to hope that there's a buyout for 50% over comps and they're
but there are some people who buy fractional with a long-term window also, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people should be used to a long-term window because, buyouts sometimes don't come, right? And buyout's not the only thing fractional is for. I mean, people who are investing in this should get used to the fact that the liquidity might not always be there, and some of the things you're buying into are long-term holds. That you shouldn't be buying into these items thinking that I'm going to be able to get out next week, next month, or even in a couple of months. And I think this is one of those cards that if you have that long-term window, you'll be all right.
Let me just add to, I guess, what I meant. So the cards or assets that I think people believe can get bought out are the ones that you're going to see more volatility on. Mm-hmm. I think the cards or the assets that are more long-term holds like this one aren't going to see a lot of volatility because 90%, 80%, whatever the number is, are in it for 20 years. Whereas maybe with those retro blue Jordan Kobe sneakers, someone's getting into it hoping that in a month it gets bought out because maybe an ancillary similar item got bought out. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this Koufaux jersey was up 30, 40, 50% this week in the anticipation that it might be bought out soon down the road based on the comp.
Right.
The Jordan
is
a liquid enough card where
also you're not going to see too many of these. I understand what you're saying. You're not going to see too many Kobe shoes, but obviously we saw two Jordans in the last 2 weeks. We'll probably see another Jordan soon. So it doesn't need to be bought out. If somebody wants to buy it out, they can just buy it in one of the auctions. So I understand that 100%. 100%. And it's a great point. Definitely a great point. My deal is with the market going down overall, the card market, overall market, Bitcoin, crypto, you name it, I like to point out some items that are on Collectable lower than recent sale prices, which is always a good thing. Instead of pointing out ones that are higher, if you want to pull one that's higher, the Luka Prism Blue, which ran up after Luka did his thing, and brought his team into the second round of the playoffs, right? Forget about the one that's the white sparkle. The blue, I think it was up tremendously and trading at like $56,000. It was just a PWCC sale for $36,000. So that's an interesting one because that one ended last week up 10%. I think on Monday it was running up to 56,000. It ended I think 50,000 even. So that's high compared to the $36,000 sale that was just on PWCC. So we talk about the Jordan because the one on Collectable is a little bit lower. That one clearly there's more volatility. He was really high to end the series, but by the end of the week, it looked like he might not get past Golden State, right? So all of a sudden, now, you were talking about that card has got some real volatility, 100%.
Think about the blue though, it has collector's appeal. My issue, like collectors are smart. Like I think we need to stop thinking that people in this hobby are stupid. Not in the sense of like smart of like book smart. In the sense of they've put money into cards before. They know what works and what doesn't. They've been around, and if they see a white sparkle sell for 400,000, and they see the blue color match card sell for a sixth of that, a collector will say, "I'm going to go for that." And then get a LeBron BGS refractor. So collectors are very intelligent people. They've been around the block. They've done this for some time. They don't get into the hype of SSP and all that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think you're 100% right. There's a lot of sales that that happened over the last couple of days. Take a look at them. What I would tell you to be careful about is comparable sales on BGS 9.5s. Not every BGS 9.5 is the same. Check the subs. People pay more for True Gems, Gem Plus, pay less for the Min Gems. I will tell you that nowhere is this more evident than the Patrick Mahomes card that is on Collectable. If you take a look at it, I'm talking about the National Treasures RPA out of 99. I believe the one that's trading on Collectable now has, I think it's an $84,000 market cap. I don't want to misquote, but let's just make sure. I'll take a look. I'm pretty sure it has an $84,000 market cap. You could take a look at it if you like.
Horizontal RPA.
Yeah, but that year it was horizontal. That year, there is no vertical on it. I think it's 84,000 market cap.
Yes.
Okay. So why is this one important? So this is a BGS 8.5. All right. I will tell you that a BGS 9 sold on PWCC for, I think, exactly the same price. I think it also sold for $84,000, which is the same market price as this. But this one on Collectable has two colors, right? So the patch has that bit of orange bleeding into the red. So the first question is, does that little bit of patch, does that make up the difference between the 8.5 and the 9? Not 100% sure I agree. But then you get Golden actually selling one that was a real nice 9 2-color. I want to get the actual price of it, but it sold for significant. It might have sold for like $132,000, I think was the comp on it. So, at first I looked at this and I'm like, all right, 84. There was a 9 that sold for the same price. Maybe this is not the greatest deal, but then you look at the patch and then you look at a 9 that has a multicolored patch on it, sells for 132. This is one of those cards where, you could see people starting to maybe get more interested in as football season starts. But more importantly, why I bring this up, not to say that this particular card on Collectable is a buy, a sell, whatever it may be, more of take a look. There's more that goes into it than just say, okay, well, a Mahomes National Treasure out of 99 just sold on PWCC. What's the comp? No. Check out the grades. Check out it's 8.5 versus 9. What's the patch look like? What's got a better, and all of that factors into the, and what are the subgrades? So you got to take a look at all that stuff when you're doing these, these comps. Never more important than when you're looking at vintage baseball. I'll let you pick whatever you like, but let's just talk about a card you love. You talked about him. You got every fact about him wrong, but it doesn't matter. I know you're joking. Pull up the Mickey Mantle PSA 7 that's currently trading on Collectable right now. This card has a current market cap of $276,575. It's down about 2.5% this past week. It's a PSA 7. Again, current trading price $276,575. Right? I bring this up because I want you to look at the card. All right? I want you to look at the card itself. On Golden, ending yesterday.
Can you see my screen?
I can. Can you zoom in? Okay, so let's leave that there. All right. Now, if you wanted to pull the Golden one up, you can. I tell everybody to pull up the Golden auction one. You don't have to do it, right? But yesterday, Golden had an SGC 7, and it ended for $264,000. So right in line with this one, right in line with this PSA 7. All right. And most people would say that the PSA 7 might have a little bit of a premium over the SGC 7, right? Because that's kind of been the historical, the way that it's been. But if you look at the last PWCC auction, the PSA 5 Mantle sold for less than the SGC 5. Both eye appeal, both nice. And here's where it's important, and I don't want to, say anything bad. Take a look at this 7 when you pull up Collectable. It is a little off center, right to left. Right, it's definitely a 7. It definitely falls in the 7. But as far as eye appeal goes, it's much more on the right border than the left. The SGC 7 that sold on Golden for $264, I would pay more for that card than for the 7 that's on Collectable. I actually bid on that SGC 7 Mantle at Golden. It is a gorgeous card. I don't know if you'll be able to pull it up. If you can, that's great. That's the 2.1 million PSA 8. But if you could find it, the 7. It was a gorgeous 7, like perfectly centered 7. It looks better than some 8s that I've seen, and it sold for $264. So it's important to do this, guys, because you don't just want to say, all right, well, the PSA 7 is at 270 and SGC 7, 264. The PSA should sell for a significant premium to that. This is a buy. Not so fast. Pump the brakes on that if you can, and just take a look at the 7 in golden. I have it up in front of me. If you can't get it, I'll try to hold my laptop up to the screen so that people can see it. But it is a gorgeous 7.
There it is. It's a beautiful card.
Isn't it great? I mean, it's just a really nice. I'm kind of mad I didn't win it, to tell you the truth. Always the underbidder, never the bride.
Is this what people say? The registration is a little bit faded. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So is that the one? Is that the one that just ended yesterday?
Yep.
So I mean, I'm looking at the registration on it. It looks pretty nice. I mean, if you look at if you hold your mouse over it, you can kind of zoom in on it. You can see just how bright the coloring is on it. It's just a real nice card. Anyway, guys, I don't want to dwell too long. What this one has, if you take your mouse and go to the right next to the white border where the brim of his hat is, okay, left side, keep going, left, go a little higher above the bat. There's a white dot on this card. Go to your see it right there, right below where the mouse is, right there. That is the blemish on the card. That's what holds this card down from a 7. There's a little white dot right there. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one. That's the little tiny mark on this card. That, I mean, I was looking at it, the whole deal, but I mean, overall eye appeal is amazing. But every one of these vintage cards has their own little thing. Some of them have creases you can't see, but they're great center. Some of the corners are not good, but the centering is amazing. Point here is, as you're going through the items, as you're going through the comps, and as you're looking at sales to try to figure out what is a smart purchase on Collectable, where is there a place to put your money. These are not all created the same, and it's important to actually take a look at the cards, not just what a recent sale might be. Make sense?
1,000%. 1,000%. Where do you want to go next? We could wrap with maybe one thing that I'm kind of curious about is, so the top 3 decliners were Duncan, Yao, Dirk, lost 50% of value. Michael Jordan, game used signed bat from his baseball playing days, down 36%. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Magic, 2007 Upper Deck Black Quad Auto BGS 7 out of 10, down 33%. So anything catches your eye, anything you want to talk about still, kind of before we wrap up?
No, I mean, listen, one thing I guess we can kind of talk about, right, with the swing towards, game used memorabilia. One of the things that was up this past week that I don't know whether or not it matters. I don't know whether when you see cards like the National Treasure sell for $666,000, Luka has that photo match to 9 games rookie jersey on Collectable. That was up almost 22% this week. I mean, maybe people think it might be a buyout opportunity, buyout candidate, something like that. There's not that many rookie jerseys, especially when the guy plays 80 games, and this one he wore for 9 of them. There can't be that many rookie jerseys out there, and obviously Luka's fan base has shown that those people are willing to spend a heck of a lot of money, and people are looking at those now. I mean, give Adam Rips. Not only can a guy throw one hell of a flea market at VCon, but we had him on our show talking about, memorabilia, right? This was a year ago, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, however long ago it was, when he put the Trae Young net on his head, remember? And he said, people are looking for ways to really be attached to their players, people that they're fans of. Getting a rookie jersey of somebody, obviously somebody who is a fan of Sandy Koufax, who you think is irrelevant, is willing to spend 7 figures on his rookie jersey. So,
Luka is interesting, man. I love Luka. I love watching him play. He's so, how he plays, talks trash, and then is charismatic and entertains all at the same time. Second in that. But I have to say, at the end of the day, it is risk reward, right? Would it surprise you? And what would happen to that jersey? Not this cards, but if at 28 the guy decided to retire. That's 14 years in a career. That's not a short career.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it would be like 10 years or so in the NBA. I think it would surprise me because by then these guys are going to be making $80 million a year. So
it's a lot to walk.
I think it'd be tough to walk away from the money that, especially somebody like him, he'll probably be offered. I mean, look what Mbappe was offered for PSG. He'll probably be offered parts of his team. You know what I mean? It'll
Yeah.
be, Luka, please stay in Dallas, and we'll give you a third of the team. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be like Messi's deal.
But that can't sustain. Like the contract Mbappe got, Cage, that can't sustain. You can't give so much to one player. You know how everything's kind of like a pendulum. It swings
Yeah.
one way, swings the other. It has to swing back because if these owners who have all the power give away too much leverage, and they don't get the results that they're hoping for, eventually they're like, I'm gonna have to cut the cord. And that Mbappe deal is very scary. People don't realize the ramifications, in my opinion, of it.
I mean, listen, who's he going to play with is really what it comes down to, right? Right? If they spend that much money on him, do they have any money left to spend on anyone else, right? You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to fill out the roster?
Well, at the end of the day, too, it's like the locker room is also important. Envy is real. Envy is a huge quality of human beings. So when Jordan was playing, you guys don't remember, Jordan made most of his money on this tail end of his career. He was one of the guys.
Yes.
He even said, I would
took
never
a little
do
less
it.
too.
Took a little less. Brady, I think why Brady has such respect from his teammates is because he sacrifices. So when Jordan always said, I would never ask anyone on my team to do something that I was unwilling to do. I wonder if these guys getting huge deals, getting equity, getting all this, can really say the same thing, right? Because they're in the locker room with the guys, and then when you're on the field with the rest of the guys, it's like, hey, they're just one of the boys. And that discrepancy of like, wow, like this guy's kind of a god amongst men. I don't know, man. I've never seen it in sports. I can't imagine it turns out well. That's my personal opinion, unsolicited.
So I have one last card just because you brought up Brady, and then I'll let you take it home or do whatever you want to do. It's one that I think almost fits in that LeBron that I purchased kind of deal.
What would I maybe want to do, like hypothetically, like, or do whatever you want to do? Like,
I don't know. You could run around the airport a little bit. We could film it. You know what I mean? You can go run up and down.
I'm in your favorite airport. Do you know where I'm at?
Orlando. Yeah, man. Go get Chick-fil-A. They're probably closed by now.
This is what an airport should be like. This is what an airport should be like. Like you walk in and it's an amusement park. Like it's beautiful.
It's a nice airport.
Yeah.
It's a nice airport. Brady. All right, so Brady. So I believe this is a card that is finding a bottom now. It may go slightly lower, but if you happen to own shares of it on the Collectable platform, it's something you should probably be aware of recent sales. I'm talking about the Tom Brady 2000 Bowman Chrome rookie BGS 10, the pristine. It's currently trading at a $37,500 market cap, down 3.5% this past week. But $37,500 is the market cap. Why do I bring that up? Because coming into PWCC's Thursday night sale, there were 3 straight sales under $30,000, and the PWCC became the 4th. It only sold for $20,400. And then Golden had one, and it sold for $21,600. So now the 2 recent comps are $20,400 at $21,600, which is almost half the price of the $37,500 that it's trading at on Collectable. So when the 2 comps come in at 55-60% of what the market cap is on the Collectable site, it's just one I want to make sure you guys pay attention to. Tom Brady's a GOAT. Everybody wants to have their money in Tom Brady, but I saw a little bit last week start to bleed on this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw probably a double-digit drop on this one this week. So if you're smart enough to listen to us, you now know the comps, you now know the recent sales, and I would expect this one to kind of see a little downward pressure based on those recent comps. Now that's 5 straight sales under $30,000, but the last 2 being close to $20,000 on a card that has a market cap of $37,500. So important. That's it. How about Joel Embiid, man? Give me 2 minutes on Joel Embiid. Right? He's got the Joel Embiid will be trading this week starting on 5/27, the 2020 50-point Game 1 jersey photo match. What do you think?
We love this, like alpha beta. He's a beta. He needs a Jimmy Butler.
All right.
I'm good at reading this stuff. He's an incredible talent. We confuse talent with leadership. Those are 2 different things. He's a beta. He needs an alpha. It's why he loves Jimmy so much. That he knows it too. He needs a Jimmy. He needs a vet. He needs grit. But I want to shift to Cal Ripken Jr. because that's the pair there. Well, how does he not get more respect? He's
irrelevant. He's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about his cardboard. If Sandy Koufax is irrelevant, so is Cal Ripken. I mean,
So I'll always remember Cal Ripken similar to maybe like how I'll remember Peyton Manning. Is that
okay.
unfair?
No,
Just
no, it's
love.
perfectly fair.
That's where I kind of put him. Um, why does he not get more love? Like, you know this better than I.
I mean, honestly, I don't know why he doesn't get more love. The guy was about as durable as they come, and in a time now where they have load management and nobody plays and everybody gets injured, you knew the Baltimore Orioles when you were playing, pencil him in at shortstop. You knew if you were going to see a game, you were going to see Cal Ripken play. He was beloved by his peers. He played tough. He was a great hitter. Played for a long time. Great baseball family, and I don't know why he doesn't get more love, except for the fact that the tail end of his career, there were some shortstops who came in who were power hitting shortstops. Um, so in the 80s, he was a great shortstop. He had the tail end of Ozzie Smith was still a great shortstop there. And, the fielding shortstops were great. But you had A-Rod, you had Jeter, you had Nomar Garcia-Parra, Nomar, right? You had some legitimate, talent at shortstop, and maybe they overshadowed him a little bit towards the end of his career. That's it.
Love you,
Luka
Luka Nation.
Nation, we love you.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So, as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luka Nation.